Here we have a different view of bone tissue, compact bone here, and then it begins to form spongy bone as we get closer to the center here. In this one you can see all the individual osteons. Remember, an osteon is a one tree trunk, okay? One set of rings of a tree trunk. So this is an osteon, this is an osteon, this is an osteon, so forth. Every osteon at its center has the central canal. The central canal allows the blood vessels and nerves to pass through the bone. Right? So what these are showing here are the different levels of the osteon, the different rings of the osteon pulled out. So imagine if I took the center of an osteon here and pulled up, and the inside layer came up, and then the next layer came up, and then the next layer, and the next layer. So these are the individual layers shown here and here, showing you the individual rings of that tree trunk, kind of separated out individually. So in that osteon, we have these little holes here, these little open spaces, and those are your lacuna, and the lacuna are where the bone cells, the osteocytes, stay. So here we see these brown spots here represent those little open spaces, those lacuna, and your bone cells, your osteocytes, would be found inside those little spaces. So here you see them in the context of the entire osteon, labeled or put together here. Here they are kind of as it's pulled out. So technically all of these, although they only drew osteons at lacuna on this one, they would be on all of these levels as well, on all those layers. Okay, so that's your osteon, central canal, and your lacuna. You can again see the little lines radiating outward from the central canal towards the lacuna, and those are your canaliculi. The other canals that we have in here are the Volkmann's or perforating canals, and those are the ones that connect the central of one osteon to the central of another osteon. So these are the ones that you have going across here. See how it goes from the central canal here to the central canal here, and going across is your Volkmann's or perforating canal. The outside of the bone here, we have the periosteum, the membrane around the bone. Here you see those canals without the blood vessels in them. Here you see, as we said, this is all compact bone. Here's where it becomes spongy bone. So you see, instead of osteons now, we have these interconnecting bridges of bone, and these are called your trabeculae. And you still see the blood vessels passing through in all the same material. But the formation of the lamella is different in the compact bone. We have the lamella as opposed to these tree trunks, or pardon me, the trabeculae as opposed to these tree trunks. Now the lamella, we've got a couple different types of lamella. Here, making up the rings of the osteon, is the concentric lamella, because it makes up the concentric circles. They just get larger as you make your way out. So these are all this is all the concentric lamella around here. In between the osteons, we have the interstitial lamella. Remember, inter means between. So in between the tree trunks, you have the interstitial lamella. And then around the outside of the entire bone here, that goes around the whole way this way, would be your circumferential lamella. So you see that's the part here that wraps around and would continue to wrap around the entire bone that way.